All right. Welcome, everybody. This is Zenith Online Racing. We are here again on the Saturday afternoon running a full Grand Prix for you. We are kicking it off with full qualifying, so all three sessions, Q1, Q2, Q3. We'll lose the first 5 cars at the end of this session, and then 5 more. We'll have a top 10 shootout for pole position. We'll have a 100% race to follow after this qualifying session, so strategy obviously going to be a factor going into Q2. Obviously, the fastest time, the tire you use to set your fastest time in Q2 is the tire you start the race on if you make it into the top 10. So, to keep an eye out for that, see what tires people run with in Q2. But for now, these drivers are just going to be looking to find their way through Q1. So once again, we have the drivers in realistic cars. So the cars perform like their real-life counterparts. So the fastest drivers are in the slowest cars on the grid, and the slowest car drivers are in the fastest cars. So we've got Puff Digital and Barton in the Williams tonight. And then Janet Johannes in the Alpha. Gilzo and Adri in the Toro Rosso. And then we've got guys like Crucio and Terminal Deity in the Ferrari. The Red Bull, Coxey and Bobby. Red Bull, Coxey won last week in the Red Bull, so it was an exciting race. He definitely wasn't dominant by any means. Kind of wrapped it up towards the end there, but he's definitely capable of doing it again in the race here tonight. Puff, this is one of Puff's best tracks, but obviously in the dog of a car in that Williams, so we'll see what he can do tonight. I'm expecting him to be in the points for sure. I would maybe even gamble and say a top 5 finish, but again, very, very held back by that machinery, so it's obviously going to be a really tough task, but Puff definitely really quick here. And apparently Barton very quick here as well, so we'll see how he does. Crucio on a hot lap right now. He has gone purple. I think he's one of the first drivers out on track setting hot laps, so I'll stick with him. He's catching Zyg. A lot of traffic here really compromises his line through there. Zyg tries his best to stay out of the lane, but Crucio really just can't go through that part of the track safely with another car there. So, probably ruined this lap for him. Let's see what kind of time he sets in the end of the lap here. Out on the softs early here, trying to make sure he gets through Q1. Interesting to note, Puff, even in the Williams, out on the hards in Q1 here. Be interesting to see if he's even capable of setting a lap time fast enough to consider staying in the pits. If Puff manages to get through on the hards in the Williams, that'd be pretty impressive. So Janet fastest right now, 33.4. Crucio goes 33.8 in the Ferrari, so Crucio definitely probably could have been quickest there. He'd had definitely lost a few tenths there, probably near Zyg in the S's there. So Crucio could be on for a pretty good race tonight if he can find the extra time he lost. Ryan sits at 34.3. Puppet Master in the Renault sits at 33.2. That's a really good time. Coxey with a 33 flat in the Red Bull. I've got the Mercedes crossing the line. There's a Williams crossing the line. That's Barton's first lap on the softs at 34.6. So Barton a little off the pace at the moment. We have Bobby here. Yeah, Bobby just finishing his first hot lap. Let's see how he can do in comparison to his teammate Coxey. Oh, Doth disqualified from the session. What happened there? Parked in a dangerous location. So Doth out already. Really like to know what happened. But Bobby, yes, it's a 33.7, so 7 tenths off his teammate Coxey. Once to do about that DOS situation. I mean, he really should be into Q2, and now he's going to miss out on almost the entirety of qualifying because he got disqualified. Very unfortunate for Doth there. Crucio once more. Looks like he's going for another flyer here. Good shot of that Ferrari moving through the turn 1 complex. Very tricky corner. Very easy for the car to fall away from you. Once you start drifting wide, it's very easy to just kind of lose it and run right off the road. So, it's one of those corners where if you get it a little bit wrong, you pretty much gotta bail. You can't try to save it. You end up making it even worse. So you kind of need to bail early and get on the brakes and just try to correct your line. But, what's that racing point? That bag of bones. It is. Because he is on his first hot lap on the hard tire. See what he can do here. Follow him around his lap. Still about 10 minutes to go here in Q1, so long way to go still. Bag of bones, just rounding up the end of the lap here. See what kind of time he can put on the board. It's going to be a 35.9, so pretty slow time, but obviously on that hard tire. Just behind Puff in the Williams, just ahead of Adri in the Toro Rosso. So Barton edging out Puff at the moment, but obviously that time's set on the soft tire, so Puff pretty close to Barton there, despite 2 compound difference. It was an Alpha. Was that Zenith just crossed? No, it was not. That would have been Johannes. So Johannes is on a flyer. Let's follow Johannes around. See what kind of time he can get on the board. He does not have a lap time set in Q1 yet. Maybe just wants to put one time on the board and hopefully he can get through. Janet's sitting pretty with a 33.4. He might be safe with that time. I see Janet's probably... Janet and Terminal probably the cutoff right now. So, purple in Sector 2 for Johannes. This is going to work out pretty nicely. If he can string it together and put up close to the fastest time, even, he might be safe for the rest of Q1 here, be able to save some tires for Q2. See what he can do here. Finishing up his lap now with a 33.7, so not going to be safe. He's probably going to have to do another run for sure to make sure he gets through. Just posting a link here to our live stream. See if we can get a few more viewers in here during Q1, maybe towards the end of qualifying. We'll have a nice audience going, and we can get you an exciting race here in China today. live stream. Keep an eye on the chat. A little quiet at the moment. Nobody's really said anything. We do have 10 people watching at the moment, though, so that's good to see early here in the Grand Prix. Just coming towards the end of Q1 here. About 6 minutes to go. Johannes has finished his flyer, so let's find another driver. Check in with Adri, who looks like he's still out on the hards at this point. Probably really needs to head in at this point. He needs to put a better lap up. We just had Gilzo go fastest with a 32.9 in that Toro Rosso, so the 33.4 time still looking probably pretty safe for Q1. To make it through Q1 here, I think those guys are safe. Everybody else probably needs to be out there giving it another go to see and make sure that they're going to get through. We have a McLaren heading down the main street now. Looks like Zag is just starting a hot lap, so we'll check in with him in a bit. Check in with the Haas driver here. That is Ryan. He's just finishing a hot lap here. His battery is turned down, so heading into the pits actually. We will jump to the Ferrari. That is not Crucio. It's actually Terminal Deity. He's just finishing a hot lap. Turns in a little early there. Had to be hesitant, but looks like a good time still. 32.7 for Terminal Deity, so he goes fastest in that Ferrari. The 33.4 time now looking a little dicey. Maybe not safe anymore, but hopefully for the drivers that gambled and stayed in the pits, it will be. They still got 5 minutes to go, so they have time to get back out there and defend if they see the time start to increase rapidly here. Front nose of Bobby here. Let's see what time he can set. Looks like it's going to be a good one. 32.7 for Bobby, so he edges out Gilzo. Doesn't quite get the Ferrari ahead of Terminal Deity, though. So that's competitive. That's close times there. Good to see early in Q1. Looks like we have a Williams heading around. It looks Barton is just starting a flyer. And Vagabone's getting a tow from him a little bit here towards the end of his lap. He's at 35.1. He's still out on the hards with 4 minutes to go. Really needs to consider getting in the pit lane and changing those tires so he can put up a good lap here. Barton looks like he's struggling in the Turn 1 complex a little bit with that Williams. Not a very slick car in terms of handling. Definitely a little bit, he claims it drives like a cruise ship. Not even a boat, just like a cruise ship. That's how bad it is. Vagabone's following behind. He is definitely going to be going into the pits at the end of this lap, I feel. Let's see what Crucio's doing here. Looks like he's down on his time in Sector 1, so he's going to need to find more time here in Sector 2 if he wants to improve. He's on the soft tire in that Ferrari car. His teammate Terminal Deity currently with the fastest time, so Crucio needs to step up big here. He needs to get a big lap on the board and get closer to the front. Can't be eliminated in Q1. You know, he's up half a second. That's good news for Crucio. That will put him into the safe zone, I feel. 33.3 would be if he continues on that pace. So that would be a good spot for him. I think he'd be safe. Aerostrike is safe there, it looks like, with a 33.2. He is in the other Renault car, along with Puppet Master. Their time's very close. They're only 300s off each other there. Let's see what Crucio can do. He needs to string together the final sector here and make sure he puts a secure time on the board and make it into Q2. A little bit hesitant into the corner there, but I think he's going to get a good exit and he'll put up a good time here with a 33.1. So Crucio will probably be safe with that time. Check in with the Haas car. That's Harry just about to start a flyer. We'll check in with him in a bit. Aerostrike and Puppet Master also on outlaps at the moment. In the Renault. Is that GP calling in the McLaren? No, it's not. It's Zyg. Zyg has the battery turned down, though, so he's not on a flyer either. Checking with that Mercedes behind. Mario and Burns in the Mercedes tonight. That's Burns on an outlap as well. I believe that's the other Renault on the outlap arrow. We'll check in with the Williams. It's Puff. Looks like he had a purple sector there. He's up 1.5 seconds on his previous time. So that is going to put him probably just inside the safety zone. Let's see if he gets bumped out at the end of Q1. Very important that Puff strings together a good final sector here so he can secure his advancement into the next section of the qualifying portion. Needs about another half a second here to be safe, I think. 33.4 for Puffy. Gets what he needs. 33.4, I think he's good. Jennett's still in the pits there with the 33.4. He's in 9th. He's probably okay. He doesn't have time to head back out if he isn't okay, so he's pretty much done for the session now. And that's Barton heading into the pits. He's in 14th, and heading into the pit lane, he is going to be in trouble. He very well could get knocked out of the session here in Q1. Is that Adri? It is Adri just starting a flyer. We have Mario starting a flyer as well. Let's get back to the other drivers here. We got Harry just finishing his hot lap, and then we'll jump over to the Renault, who I believe is Puppet Master. So Harry's hot lap not as he hoped. It looks like he's just starting one now, actually, so that will be his flyer. Puppet Master goes into first. 32.6, fastest lap of Q1 so far. Comes Burns, wrapping up his hot lap. Turns in, carrying a good amount of pace here. Let's see if he can improve. 33.4, improves a little bit, so he's in 10th. He's probably okay there. Jennett staying in the... Well, Jennett on an outlap, but I think it's a little too late for that. Aerostrike goes 33.4, so he's... Or, sorry, 33.2. He's probably safe. And Puff... Does Puff have time? Puff has time for another lap if he's got the fuel on board. Although he is flashing red already. He's probably safe regardless. Yeah, he's going to hit him. Johannes. Johannes starting an outlap here. Is he going to cross the line in time? He's got 4 seconds to get there. This is going to be very close. And he does. Johannes gets his final hot lap in at the very last moment. He's 13th at the moment. He might not need to finish this lap. But we'll have to see what goes on behind him here. We have quite a few cars rounding across the start-finish line. Now, that is Adri into 11th. Burns, sorry, that wasn't Burns. It was Mario into 13th. GP has gone off. He's gone deep here. Not too sure what happened. Looks like Harry is just about to finish his. And he got disqualified, so Harry's out in Q1 here. He's not going to advance. In that Haas car, Harry has been eliminated. The Renaults of Aero and Puppet Master through safely, 1st and 7th. GP going very slow here. He must have acquired some damage or ran out of fuel or something along those lines. Here comes Burns. He is done. His battery is turned down. Looks like Aero on a push lap, but he has nothing left in the tank, so he's done. That's Jennett. Jennett on a flyer, it seems. Johannes also on a flyer. No, Jennett can't be on a flyer. Can he? I don't think he could be. Maybe he is. But Johannes was the last person to cross the line. We know that. So I don't understand how Jennett isn't given the checkered flag at the moment. But regardless, we'll ride with Johannes, see what he can do here. I think he's right on the cusp of being the cutoff zone, but he's going to be safe, I think, here. Improves to 14th, so just moves up 1 spot, secures his advancement through the session. So Doth out, Harry out, Zyg out, Barton out, and GP Colin out. I think Johannes safe. Unless somebody behind has a chance, which might be Zyg? Zyg's still on a fly. No, Zyg into the pits, so that's it. Johannes is the final car through. We've got both McLarens out. GP and Barton and Zyg all eliminated in Q1, along with Harry Hotspur and Doth Valhoist, who got disqualified for parked in a dangerous location, if I recall. Yeah. Yeah. So... that's it for Q1. So, yeah, as we mentioned, those drivers eliminated. We'll review the order. Puppet Master in first. Terminal Dady second. Bobby Tava in third. Jennett in fourth. Gilzo fifth. Coxie sixth. Crucio seventh. Bagabones eighth. Aerostrike is ninth. Adri is 10th. Puff Digital 11th in that Williams. Good showing from him. Burns is 12th. Ryan is 13th. Mario is 14th. Barely makes it through in that Mercedes, along with Burns as well. Very close to being eliminated there. We could see Mercedes both out in Q2. Johannes, Alfa Romeo, makes it through in 15th, and then GP in the McLaren, Barton in the Williams, Zag in the McLaren, Harry in the Haas, and Doff in the Racing Point, all eliminated in Q1. So we have Q2 coming up shortly. Stay tuned. We'll get down to the action and see what some of these quicker drivers decide to do with their strategy for the race. Alright, we are back for Q2. We've got a few cars out on track already. That's Burns in the Mercedes. We've also got Coxie in the Red Bull and Jinnit in the Alpha out on track. Who is at the front? It looks like Coxie. So Coxie out on the mediums. Looking to get a good time early in Q2. See if he can lock down an advancement through Q2 on those medium tires early in the session while the track is clear. Definitely has the pace. He put up a pretty good time in Q1. So we'll see what Coxie can do here. We'll stay on board with Coxie and we will ride with him through the entirety of his flying lap. See what kind of time he puts up. Looks like Jinnit moving out of the way there for Burns, letting him get the track position. Maybe Jinnit trying to set up some kind of slipstream for himself. Doesn't want to be too close though. I think he's quicker. Although I guess he's in a slower car. Yeah, maybe if he hangs onto the back, he might be okay. See what he does. Nice shot of that Red Bull approaching the end of the outlap. So Coxie about to start his flyer. Let's get that. Yep, takes the cone out. Speaking of cones, used to be a famous TV show. Bunch of bald, cone-headed people. For some reason reminds me of Coxie. Not sure why. Anyways, Coxie on the medium tire. Let's see what kind of time he sets in Sector 1. See, 24.5. For reference, let's check him with Burns. Let's see what kind of sector time he sets. 24.9. So, Coxie about 4/10 quicker than Burns through the first sector and in a much slower car than the Mercedes. So I would say Coxie's on pace to set a pretty good time here. It looks like a decent lap so far. I don't know if it's going to be able to stick. Is it going to hold up through the entirety of Q2? I don't know. It's probably pretty early to be out on the mediums and trying to make sure you advance on those tires. Maybe he has no intention of starting on them regardless. Maybe he just wants to get a lap, a couple practice laps in and rubber in the track a bit more. Absolutely flying down this back straight. That Honda Power hurling into the corner at 330 kilometers an hour. Coxie hits that apex nicely. The car really feels great around here. I drove this in the time trial just before the race here, and the Red Bull feels really solid through the windy parts of this circuit. 33.3 for Coxie, so a really good time in comparison to the Q1 times, given it's on the medium compound, but I don't think that's going to be enough to advance. Jinnit just behind in the 34.2 on the mediums. Burns with a 34.7 on the mediums. So maybe on the mediums that is a good enough time. We'll have to see what the other drivers can do. Bobby is on a flyer currently. Looks like maybe the other Mercedes as well, which is Mario on a flyer. So we'll check in with Mario first, then we will jump back to Bobby and see what he can do. A lot of drivers out on the mediums right now. If Mario can advance into Q3 on the medium compound in this Mercedes, that would be very advantageous for him in the race session. Obviously, not on a push lap yet. He's just getting it going now, and he's validated, so don't think this lap's going to count either. No, it's not. So Mario has just cost himself a lot of track time by cutting that final corner. Here comes Bobby. See what kind of time he can put up. This looks like a pretty good lap so far. Time where it needs to be. 33.9, so no, not good enough. He's ahead of Arrow, Jinnit, and Burns, but he's 0.6 off of his teammate here. Comes Johannes just crossing the line for his hot lap. Check in with him shortly. Looks like Terminal Dady starting a hot lap as well. The Mercedes of Burns probably heading into the pits, I'd imagine here. Maybe going for another run? Yeah, heading into the pits. Also the Alpha behind, which I guess is Jinnit still. Red Bull heads into the pits as well. That would be Coxie. Aero Strike. Is he on a push lap? No, he looks like he's about to start one though. No, he's heading into the pits as well. Crucio starting a flyer. Let's ride with Crucio. See what he can do in that Ferrari car. Currently does not have a time set in Q2. He's out on the mediums at the moment. So his teammate, Terminal, out on hards currently. Not sure Terminal's intention. He's obviously been quite quick in that Ferrari this week and last week, so maybe considering trying to get through into Q3 on the hards. I feel like it'd be pretty off the pace though. I doubt that would work out well. So it's a Crucio purple in Sector 1. Off to a good start on this hot lap, just what he needs here. If he can get into provisional pole for the moment, I guess it's not really pole, but if he can get into first on this lap on the mediums, I think he would be safe. Well, actually, he's turned down the battery here, so maybe not feeling it. I don't know if he was pushing there. I did see a purple sector, but that just might be a glitch. The game does do that from time to time. So who's behind Crucio? That looks like a Haas. Is that Ryan? It is. Let's see what Ryan can do here at the end of his lap. His teammate Harry in that Haas eliminated in Q1. So Ryan trying to advance into Q3, the lone Haas car remaining in the qualifying session. Hits that apex perfectly. Carrying a good amount of pace here into the final turn. Let's see if he can hook it up. He does. Good exit, smooth on the power, and it's a 34.6, so not the time he's looking for. Jinnit looks like he's just about to leave the garage. So Johannes is still out there. There's up a Ferrari behind. That's Terminal. Let's see what kind of time he sits on the hards here. He's not pushing either. His battery is turned down too. So, check in with the racing point behind. That's Bag of Bones. Bag of Bones pushing for sure. He's in overtake. Rips that DRS open. He's bombing down the straight here. Getting a nice little slipstream from the car ahead too. That will help majorly. Very long straight here, and I think he's definitely close enough to get a tow. Nice turn in there from Bag of Bones, and he puts up a 34.2 on the medium tire, so that's a pretty solid lap time. I think Coxie's time is probably actually going to hold up quite nicely here. Johannes has beaten it on the soft tire in the Alfa Romeo, so if all the drivers end up going to softs, we could see those medium guys need to come back out and make another run at it, but I think they, at this point, with the amount of other drivers on the mediums, they could very well be tricked into sitting in the garage and then end up getting caught out at the last moment. It could easily happen. There's also a few drivers that haven't set times. Adri, Gilzo, and Mario. Adri and Gilzo and this Rosso should be pretty quick as well. I'd imagine they'd be relatively competitive, so if they get out there, they're likely going to put a couple of these guys on the mediums under pressure. But I think Coxie's safe. I think everybody else needs to go out on another run. Coxie is probably safe, though. Bobby on an out lap currently. Maybe on a flyer. Bag of Bones we just saw finish one, so we know he's not. Puppet Master, he's not pushing either. Is Puff on a push lap? Puff looks like he is. No, he's got his battery turned down too. I got Gilzo on an... Oh, Gilzo is on a push lap, yeah, so he's putting up his first time. Let's ride with Gilzo, see what kind of time he can set in the Toro Rosso here. Looks like he hit 333 before he had to get on the brakes there, so a little bit quicker than we saw the Red Bull. Swings it into the final turn, just takes enough track there. And 33.6 for Gilzo, and that's on the medium compound, so that might hold up. It's risky, but that time could hold up and he could advance into Q3 with a medium compound. That would be very good news for Gilzo. We will see how that pans out. Let's get to that Mercedes. Looks like Burns just finishing a hot lap here, so he's in the best car in the grid and sitting 13th currently. Definitely needs to improve a lot here. Oh no, he heads into the pits. So Mario on an out lap. Is that Red Bull of Bobby? It is. Bobby looks like he's on a push lap. He's got the battery turned up. Looks like he just took enough track to keep that legal. Carried a lot of pace around that corner though. Fast through this one as well. This is probably going to be a pretty good time for Bobby. 33.9. He improves, but not by much. So 6th place currently on the medium tire. Might squeak through, but I think he's probably going to get bumped unless he gets it back out there and sets another lap. Though with 3:16 remaining, he's just moving through the turn 1 complex, so he's going to struggle to get out there for another hot lap. I think he might just have enough time. Though the pit crew quite slow here. It's going to take... Yeah, I think that might be it. Bobby might be done. It's going to be very nip and tuck. Aerostrike, he's on an out lap. We have... Is that Adri on an out lap? No, Adri... Sorry, that's Gilzo heading into the pits, but Adri is on an out lap. We also have Mario on an out lap, just crossing the start-finish line. So Adri on an out lap. Bobby will surely be heading into the pits. He needs to try and hurry up so he can get back out there. Puff heading out on the softs. He's sitting 12th currently, so definitely needs to get on the softs and try to improve that time. See if he can squeak into Q3. Oh, runs very wide there. As we move on to check out the other cars. Aerostrike on his out lap. So it looks like Mario going to be the first one to cross the line on an out lap, or sorry, on a hot lap, and then it will be Adri, followed by Puff. Let's get back to Mario. Mario now moving towards the end of the second sector, so he'll be done his hot lap shortly. Goes purple there. Hopefully that's accurate, because Mario needs to get a good time on the board here. He definitely can't invalidate. He's sitting 15th. Oh, he runs very deep there. That's going to cost him heavily. Huge bobble trying to get back on the track too, but he's kept it legal, so let's see if this power, the Mercedes power, can help him down this back straight to gain a little bit of the time he lost there. Does well to carry the speed through the apex there. He might be okay here. Keeps that legal. Runs a bit wide there, but I think he lifted just enough to keep it safe. He's 33.5. Mario goes into 3rd, so Mario is going to be... I think he'll be safe with that time. Next, we will check in with Adri and see what kind of time he can set. He's gambling, going on the mediums. Doesn't have a time on the board yet, and going with the slower compound, so... more concerned with the race strategy. I guess presuming if he doesn't get through, at least he gets tire of choice. But if he does get through, he starts on the medium. So, see what Adri can do here. And I think Puff is the next driver. Big lock up there into the apex. It's going to cost him a bit of time. So that corner smoothly. I don't think this is going to be good enough. It's 12th, so Adri is not going to go through. He's got time for another run if he's got the battery and the fuel. Let's see what he can do. Puff now approaching the final corner. He's up 8/10. This is probably going to be enough to put him in the top 10 for now. Will it hold up? 33.4, so that's a very good time from Puff. I think he's going to be safe with that time. Excellent lap in that Williams. Definitely not one of the best cars on the grid, and he puts up a very good time. Here comes Arrow with a 33.9, so Arrow sitting 9th currently. He's just on the brink of elimination. He might hang on to that. It's going to be tight, though. Is that Burns now? No, it's not. That's Mario. I think Mario on an in lap, but it is Burns behind on his hot lap. Burns up 9/10 according to the timing there, and that's going to be massive. He needs that if he wants a chance of getting in the top 10. And somebody has lost the car there, it looks like, at the end of the S's. After the double left-hander. Let's get Toro Rosso. Comes Burns. What kind of time can he put up? 33.5 for Burns, so right ahead of his teammate Mario by 2 thousandths. Just edges him out there, and they both make it into Q3 for the time being. I think they're going to be safe here. Comes Bag of Bones. He's 12th. He's up a couple tenths, it looks like. He might just squeak in. Could bump Arrow out. See what he can do. 33.9. So he does bump Arrow out by 200ths. That's very close. And Johannes, Zenith goes fastest. 32.7. He's on the soft, though, so he will be starting on that tire. Let's check what everybody set their best tire time on. So Coxie was safe with that 33.3 all along. He set that on the medium tire. And Puff with another lap, but obviously slows down. And that's it for Q2. So there is the top 10 for the Q3 shootout. Zenith, Johannes, Coxie, Puff in the Williams with an excellent showing there. Burns and Mario both make it through in that Mercedes. Gilzo in the Toro Rosso. Crucio in the Ferrari. Puppet Master squeaks in that Renault. And Bobby just makes it in on the medium compound. So Gilzo, Crucio, Puppet Master, Bobby barely squeak through and still get to start on the mediums. So now they'll be fighting for a better starting position in Q3 here. The drivers eliminated: Bag of Bones, Aero Strike, Terminal Dady, Adri, and Ryan all will have tire choice. They start 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th. So, a lot of those drivers, their best times were actually on the medium compound, and that likely ended up costing them. I think few drivers just didn't quite get the timing down. So here is our top 10 shootout. I'd imagine everybody on the soft tires, so it doesn't really matter what I put there. Let's see who comes out first in Q3. I imagine a couple drivers probably used up all their tires trying to make it to Q3, so a few guys probably going to sit in the garage for most of the session and then put a time in at the end. But we do have somebody getting ready to leave here. It looks like one of the Ferraris. Is that Crucio? It is. And another car up ahead as well, Toro Rosso, so that would be Gilzo. Gilzo out early, Crucio out early. Let's stick with Gilzo for the time being. We'll leave it in that broadcast for you to get a couple nice shots for you. Just making his way through turn 1 complex there. A lot of people hate that corner. I actually kind of enjoy it, I'm not gonna lie. The Alpha out on track, that is Johannes. You see him just moving through the turn 1 complex now. Alright. check in on the comments here. Ed says, try the mediums. Yeah. The mediums were pretty good in Q2 for a few of those guys. Yeah, we'll see what we can get here. We got a few of the quick cars made it through to Q3, but a few of the quick drivers in the slower cars have made it through as well. So, there's going to be some interesting competition here for pole position. I think it's pretty much anybody's shot. A couple of those slower guys in the quick cars just string together a really good lap. They could easily take it, but all these drivers are capable, I think, and I think it's going to provide for a pretty good start to the race as well. Be a mix of strategies out there. Some guys made it through in the mediums, and others made it through on the softs. So, interesting to see how the first portion of the race shakes out strategy-wise. If you're just tuning in, the cars are set to realistic performance, so we do have our quicker drivers in the slower cars and the slower drivers in the quick cars. And after this Q3 session, we will be running a 100% distance race. So some of these guys really going to be fighting their machinery for most of the afternoon, trying to keep themselves in a competitive position. Guys like Puff, Gilzo, Johannes, driving some, fairly weak cars. Puff obviously in the worst one in that Williams, just terribly slow, but he's very quick around China, so you figured he'd be decent still even in that bad car, and he's done fairly well today so far. But he made it to Q3 and his teammate was knocked out in Q1, so Gilzo obviously setting purple sectors at the moment. He's the first guy on the hot lap in Q3. And a time top speed can he hit here down the back street? 333 still. It doesn't seem like he can get much higher than that. Just keeps the wheels on the track there. Let's see, approaches the final turn. Hooked it up nicely. Let's see what kind of time he registers here. It's a 32.7 for Gilzo. That's a pretty good benchmark for the rest of the drivers. It looks like Crucio just setting his first hot lap, 33.9, so very off the pace in comparison to Gilzo there. Johannes just finishing up his hot lap. Let's see what kind of time he puts up. Can he get ahead of Gilzo? No, 33.2 for Johannes, so he's a bit off Gilzo. Puppet Master finishing his hot lap now as well. Let's see what his first time is here in Q3. 32.6, he goes fastest. That's a very good lap time. Comes Burns. 33.7 for Burns, so edges out Crucio, but a little bit off the pace of the guys out front. Comes Bobby with his first hot lap. Runs a bit wide there. It's going to cost him a bit. 32.9 for Bobby, so he gets into third for the time being. Mixes himself into contention for pole position there. Looks like Gilzo coming around again. Is he going to do another hot lap, or is he going to head into the pits? He's heading into the pits. Probably going to wait it out to the end of the session here and then try to time his final run. Get maximum track evolution. Crucio, I would imagine, also heading into the pits. He has set a hot lap, but definitely needs to improve, and he's probably not going to do that on a used set of tires, so he'll be heading into the pits surely as well. Johannes also going to be pitting. Puppet Master also heading into the pits, I'd imagine, too. And Burns, too. So pretty much everybody going to be heading into the pits. I think Bobby... Yeah, Bobby also heading in, so... Nobody on a flyer at the moment. All these guys heading into the pit lane, and everybody else parked in the garage for the time being. We might have a bit of a lull here, where everybody waits for the end of the session. Yeah, it's looking like it. This might be a good time to grab yourself a snack or a drink. We'll probably have a quick little break between qualifying and the race as well, maybe about 2 or 3 minutes. Wouldn't be terribly long. Shit, I mean, I probably should go get myself a drink too, but if I walk away and someone comes out, I won't know where the camera needs to be when I'm in the other room. Cue Jeopardy music. Oh, someone just fired their engine up. Here we go. Who is it? I don't see anybody yet. Oh, is it the Red Bull? It is. Is that Coxie? It is Coxie, so let's give Coxie some airtime here. I'll go refill my glass while Coxie starts his out lap. He's the only car on track at the moment anyway, so we'll follow him and then ride with him on his hot lap. And we'll queue up the other drivers towards the end of Q3 here. The final shootout for pole position. Couple other cars heading out of the garage now. Be the Mercedes of Mario and the other Red Bull of Bobby. Back to Coxie. Just about to start his first flyer. Has not put up a time yet. Neither has Puff, Mario, nor Janet. So let's see what Coxie can do here. In his bid to repeat his victory from last week, he won the 100% distance Bahrain Grand Prix. Let's see if he can repeat that performance tonight here in China. If he wins again, we'll have to take him out of that Red Bull. That's your reward for winning, is to drive a shittier car next week. Makes you wonder what it's all about, really. But, yeah, Coxie's pretty quick in that Red Bull, for sure, so far. It's the quick double left-hander down a short DRS straight here. Or it's just not DRS, sorry. But, it's a short straight, and it's the end of Sector 2, and he goes purple. Approaching a lot of traffic here down the back straight. Hopefully all these drivers get out of his way. Might be able to pick up a nice slipstream from the Mercedes ahead. Nope, all the drivers pulled over early, so no slipstream for Coxie here. Just a bit of a distraction. Now those three cars are going to be jockeying for position into the final couple turns. All trying to get their hot laps on the board, but with Mercedes slowing down to let the other two go, probably the smart move. He's got a lot of space behind. Now the Ferrari's slowing, so that's going to screw the Mercedes there. Anyway, Coxie just about to finish his hot lap here. He goes 32.5, so he's currently fastest. We expect the times to improve here. Puppet Master just starting a flyer. And that's Crucio and Burns there as well. They're very close to each other on the track. Burns, if he sticks with Crucio, going to get a very nice tow here. Mario is just finishing his hot lap. Let's see what he can do. Or is he just starting it? Maybe he bailed on that last lap. So he's going for another run here. Not too sure. 33.2 for Mario. Okay, so he was still pushing there. Currently 6th. It's 5 hundredths faster than his teammate at the moment. Comes Gilzo starting an out lap. And I believe it's Puff starting a lap as well. It is. And Bobby starting a flyer as well. Zenith is approaching the final straight to start his lap, so is Johannes. So let's get back to Coxie should be heading into the pits, I would imagine. Yeah, he doesn't have time. So these drivers all on flyers behind Puppet Master heading down the straight. We'll watch Puppet Master. We'll see how Crucio and Burns plays out behind as well. Burns going to get a really nice drag down this straight. I think he's in the perfect spot for a slipstream here. Look at him closing on that Ferrari ahead. Going to be a big boost there. See what Puppet Master does into the final turn. And we'll check with Crucio and Burns quickly. So Puppet Master crosses the line with a 32-2. He's on provisional pole. Comes Burns and Crucio. Burns into third, Crucio into fifth. So Burns gains a huge advantage following with that slipstream there. Bobby is looking to finish his lap here. It looks like Gilzo actually going to be the first one to cross. Then Puff, then Bobby. Here comes Gilzo. Let's see what he can do. He's currently fourth. Puff does not have a time on the board yet. Neither does Zenith. Gilzo with a 33.1. That's a good time. Puff improves 33.1 as well. Sorry, Gilzo's time was a 32.7. I don't know what time it was showing me there. That was weird. Zenith, I think, is the final guy to cross the line here in a Q3. Let's see what kind of time he's. Oh, he cuts the corner. That's it for Zenith. He's done. He'll finish 10th. And crashes into the wall. He was out anyway. Mario coming down the straight with no fuel. He's the final time and is obviously going to be piss poor time. 2:22. Mario 9th. Alright, so your pole sitter is Puppet Master in the Renault. We've got Coxie in second in that Red Bull. Burns is in third in the Mercedes. Gilzo in fourth in the Toro Rosso. Crucio in fifth in the Ferrari. Bobby Teva in Red Bull is in sixth. Johannes in seventh. Puff in eighth. Mario in ninth. And Zenith in 10th. So we will check in with the tire compounds once we get to the formation lap, because I do forget what I think a few of the guys are on the mediums for sure. I just can't remember which ones. I think Puff is for sure. No, Puff actually, I think Puff had used the softs to get through. Maybe not. Anyway, we'll check in shortly. I'm going to take a quick break. I will be back in a few moments. All right. Oops. Obviously, they were pretty eager to get going. So yeah, there we can see the tire compounds everybody's on. Quite a few guys on the mediums. Just need a quick moment. Prepare myself for the race session. A while before I'll be able to top up. Sure, I'm of the Grand Prix. Drivers now taking their positions on the grid. Puppet Master on the mediums, Coxie on the mediums, Gilzo, Crucio, Bobby on the mediums, everybody else starting on the softs in the top 10. Alright, we are here in China. This is 56 laps of the Chinese Grand Prix. We'll have the lights for you shortly. Final cart approaching the grid now. Quite the straggler there. Alright, we've got all 5 lights on. And they are out. A bit of a delay again. This has been happening lately. And they're off. Alright, the lights are out for real. Puppet Master gets a good start. It looks like Bobby has gained a place already on the start. All these drivers side by side into turn 1. Red Bull and Renault is at Coxie looking for a move on Puppet Master early. He's already down the inside into the first turn, and I think Coxie's got that move done. Coxie has taken the lead of this Grand Prix. It looks like we had a Mercedes go deep there. That maybe was Mario. A few drivers side by side here. We've got Johannes and Mario and Jinnit close there, and then we've got Terminal Dady there alongside Adri. Puff is alongside Bobby, so Puff up to 5th already. That's a good start for Puff in that Williams. Keep an eye on these gaps at the back here. See if any of these drivers are particularly close to an overtake. We've got a few of the drivers at the back look like they're very close to the racing point. Oh, is that Barton losing it? Barton is off, and his back end has stepped out onto the grass. He's also been T-boned by Doth, so both those cars dropping behind. Zeig must have had a moment because he's behind those two as well. Let's get back to the action in the midfield here. Terminal Dady with a bobble. He is in that Ferrari fighting with the Mercedes and the Alpha of Jinnit ahead. Already a few gaps forming at the front. Nothing too big yet, but Gilzo trying to hang on to the back of Puppet Master as Coxie looks to build his lead early in the race here. Gilzo very close to the back of Puppet Master here, but that Honda Power kind of equal to that Renault, not really giving him a big advantage. Puff Digital is alongside Johannes here. Johannes looking for a way through, but Puff defends it, so Puff maintains 5th for the time being. He is really under pressure here from Johannes. Johannes getting a much better exit down the straight, and he's down the inside. Is Johannes going to be able to get this move done under braking? It looks like he might. Puff hanging on the outside, but easy to lose your line here, and Puff leaves a bit of space for Johannes. Looks like Johannes going to get that move done, and he... Oh, they're still close. Johannes, I think, is finally through, and now Puff is going to be under pressure from behind. Oh, and that's Mario off. Mario back across the circuit after he hits the wall. Huge moment for Mario there. Mario is going to be dropping down the field rapidly. Crucio and the Haas look like they have desynced. Yeah, we got a desync here. Oh, that's unfortunate. Desynced already. We'll just avoid that for the moment. Oh, it's hideous. Burns and Arrow, they were scrapping it out there. The Mercedes and the Renault. So Burns in that Mercedes trying to get ahead of Arrow, one of the quickest drivers in Zenith Online Racing, driving the Renault tonight. Let's see what Burns can do here. Harry is closing on the back of Crucio. We don't really know where these two actually are. There's just some kind of issue there. We've seen it in the past with a few other races that we've streamed, desync issues. And that's exactly what it looks like. The cars just kind of get on top of one another. So those two drivers don't really know where each other are on the grid, but to everybody else it looks like they're just like on top of one another, and depending on where they actually are, it's a pretty weird, very strange thing. Puppet Master sets the fastest lap, so he's looking to fight back at Coxie now, and the DRS is enabled, so we will see some of these close gaps start to evolve a little bit more with the DRS activated. It looks like Doth is making a move on GP. He is around the outside into turn one. Huge move from Doth there. I think he's got that done. And it looks like the McLaren and the Haas touched, and Harry Hotspur's gone round. But yeah, I did notice that as Doth made his move around the outside, the Haas got very close to GP. Although I guess they are desynced, aren't they? Or is it Harry that's desynced? It doesn't really matter. We don't know. It's been unfortunate. We got 100% race to go, and we got cars desynced. GP Colin is right up the back of Doth here in that McLaren, so driving a much better car here on the hard tires, while Doth on the softs ahead, trying to hold that position. Crucio keeping in touch with Ryan here. We've also got Terminal and Puff keeping in touch with Jinnit, who is right up the back of Johannes. Let's get to that. Should be a good scrap there. With Jinnit approaching Johannes. Can he get the move done? It looks like he does have it done. Johannes trying to fight it back. I don't think he's going to be able to. That's going to allow Puff to close in a little bit more, but is it going to be enough to hang on? Terminal Dady all over the back of Puff in that Ferrari. Driving a much quicker car. He is not letting up. Puppet Master with the quickest lap again. Going around the outside of Coxie here. They touch. Oh, and they make contact. Huge moment here. Coxie has taken Puppet Master off the road. And Gilzote has now inherited the lead of the race. Now, Puppet Master on the grass a little bit, too. He's definitely lost some temperature in those tires. He's going to have to take a little bit of a moment here to get his tires back up to temps. And then start fighting again. So, not really sure. It didn't look like either driver was really looking to give space to each other there. And ended up costing them both a bit of time and track position. Because now they are behind Gilzo. Terminal Dady all over the back of Puff here as well. So, Puff driving valiantly to keep these quicker cars behind in that Williams. He's on the soft tire as well, so those will probably start to fall off in the next few laps, while these mediums will start to come to life. See how much longer Puff can maintain this position. Runs a bit wide there. Looks like the top six all within a second of each other as well, so maybe we'll get to that action as well. And Puff actually... Puff is closing on that group and bringing Terminal and Adri along with him. We could have the top 10 all within a second of each other in a matter of moments. Coxie now looking for a run on Gilzo into into the end of the DRS straight here. I didn't know what turn number it was. Coxie. Can he get a good enough run down the main straight with the DRS? I think he's close enough here to take a look, but it's turn one's an interesting place to attempt an overtake. You can try a lot of different lines through there, and sometimes they just stick. So Coxie looking for the inside line right now. Gilzo on the outside. Gilzo comes across to take that racing line, and he kind of covers off Coxie there. So Coxie not going to find his way through, but Terminal Dady is still right up the back of Puff, and he's bringing Adri and Arrow into the mix as well. Puff is losing a bit of time to Johannes ahead, so he's not going to be able to bring the whole top 10 together at the moment, but depends on if these drivers really start duking it out here. Puppet Master trying to get back to Coxie after they made contact there. He might have a bit of wing damage. I don't see any wing damage at the moment, though. It looks okay. We are in reduced damage, so it's a little more forgiving. We don't want these guys picking up too heavy a damage early in the race here with a long way to go. Mario is actually 43 seconds behind, though. He has made a pit stop, so he must have picked up wing damage in pit. He's a long way off the pace, but he's in that Mercedes and clear, so if he can just get himself into a nice rhythm, he actually might make up some ground here. Could work out okay for him, but he's obviously going to have to make another stop before the end of the race. Don't think Puppet Master is going to be close enough. Let's move away from this battle for a moment while Terminal Dady is finally alongside Puff Digital here. He's got that DRS advantage as well. Puff does not, and Puff is going to be under threat from Adri too. Could have a few cars side by side into the corner here. The Renault taking a look as well, but not close enough. Puff trying to maintain position around the outside. He cannot, and it looks like Arrow is going to be all over the back of Puff now as well. So Adri swoops across to take that place. Puff a little dicey into the corner there with that lack of downforce. He has DRS now. He's tucked in behind Adri. That's going to help him defend from Arrow. Can they close the gap back up? Terminal Deity needs to go close to Johannes, who's losing time now to Zenith. Arrow very close to the Williams here. Is he going to be able to take a look into the corner? He might think about it. No, he backs out. Zenith very close to Bobby here. Checking with that battle quickly. Adri looking at the back of Terminal Deity as well. You can kind of see Johannes up the road there, not too far, so Deity, Adri, possibly even Puff will be closing on Johannes shortly. A lot of action through the field here. It's kind of hard to decide what battles to watch, but Doth is very close to the back of Ryan now as well. And he's got a few cars close behind too. GP Colin right up the back of Crucio, who's right behind Burns. They're closing on those two, Doth and Ryan. Zenith with that DRS, here he comes. No, not close enough. Anybody else close enough? Arrow is zooming by Puff here down the straight. That drag on that Williams just horrendous. Can't do much when the other driver has the DRS. So Puff looking to fight this back. He's just struggling for grip a little bit out of the corner, it seems. So Williams probably using up those tires a little quicker than some of the other cars would. He's close enough to think about it into turn 1 here. Can he get a good enough haul down the straight with that DRS? It doesn't look like it. So Puff gonna have to back out of this. Well, Bobby. Oh, they made contact. Bobby and who is that? Johannes? No, it's Bobby and Zenith, I think, made contact. Or maybe it was Johannes. Yeah, I think it might have been. But the Red Bull and the Alpha made contact there in turn 1. Puff is very close to the back of Adri here still. Not letting it go. Maybe can hang on to this train and actually fight with the drivers ahead. They are closing. Terminal Deity is closing the gap to Bobby and Johannes. While Arrow is closing and bringing Adri and Puff along with him. Doth 3.3 off these cars actually. Doth now in clear air. Could probably close this gap down. Actually get himself in the mix to fight for some places as well. Ryan, Crucio, and GP Colin also very close behind. So still a lot to play for here. A lot of battles in the field. Nobody really separating themselves at the moment. Bobby's right up the back of Johannes here. He's going to have to be careful on the throttle. He's closing quickly. Definitely going to get through here with that DRS once it kicks in. We'll see if Terminal Deity can get through. We're right on board with Terminal Deity. We'll watch the overtake ahead. Johannes on the outside, Bobby down the inside. Bobby underbraking should have the advantage in that Red Bull. It looks like he does. Takes that inside line, and now Terminal Deity looking to sneak through as well. He's alongside Johannes, looking for a bit of space here as they approach the final turn. Johannes maintains the position for the moment. He's lost it to Bobby, but he's covered off Terminal Deity, though he runs deep here, and that's going to give Terminal a really nice run into turn 1 here. Is he going to be able to get it done with the DRS? No, I think Johannes' DRS is... Oh, there's a bit of contact there, it looks like. Johannes into the back of Bobby. Did he damage his wing at all? It doesn't look like it. Terminal Deity still looking for a way through here, and as I mentioned, Arrow and Adri close behind. Got Coxie approaching Gilzo, and he's bringing Puppet Master along with him as well. We'll check in with that scrap shortly. Coxie very close to the back of Gilzo here. He's going to have a very good chance down the back straight here with the DRS. All 3 of these drivers on the medium compound, so they're all in prime position to win this race here. This could be your podium finishers. Coxie with that DRS is closing quickly. It does not look like the Renault is close enough at the moment, so this could be just Coxie and Gilzo on this run. Is Coxie going to send it? He does. He's down the inside, late on the brakes. Oh, and he goes a bit deep. Kind of pushes Gilzo wide there. And it looks like Coxie defending it, and Gilzo now under threat from Puppet Master as well. So I think Coxie probably would have liked to give Gilzo that place back. Wasn't the cleanest of overtakes, but really with Puppet Master so close, you can't be playing games like that at the moment. So Coxie just needs to get the foot down and get on with it, and then maybe lets Gilzo through if they can separate themselves from Puppet Master here. Hard to say what should be done there. It really could just be looked at after the race. We could decide. But yeah, some good action here early in the race. We're on lap 9 currently. See a couple guys changing places as they are pitting. So Puff into the pits, Johannes into the pits, Crucio into the pits as well. Adri still on the back of this train, not able to find a way through currently. We'll get back to the action at the front. We've got a three-way scrap for first right now, and these guys are also on the optimal strategy. Puppet Master losing a bit of time there. Gilzo now closing on Coxie. This gives a pretty good opportunity here. Well, Coxie has so much more traction out of this corner. Really takes off in that Red Bull. Looks like he's going to be safe here. Gilzo will still get DRS, but he's going to be a long way off. He won't be able to close that. Along with Puppet Master too, he's not close enough either. Even down the next DRS zone, I don't think it'll be close enough. Really good scrap here for the lead, though. If you're joining late, we are running realistic cars, so we've got the quickest guys and the slowest cars, so it's a bit of a mixed-up grid at the moment. Some of our best drivers are fighting for 8th and 9th currently, you know, just driving brutal cars that aren't up to their standards. If that's the right terminology, I don't really know what I'm saying makes sense or not, but obviously Coxie, Gilzo, Puppet Master not being held back by their machinery. They are out in front. They have a 6.8 second lead over the next car, Bobby, in a Red Bull as well. So Terminal Deity is pressuring Bobby, but he's not really a threat at the moment either. So these three pretty much safe from the rest of the field for the time being. But they have each other to worry about here, as they all are on the same strategy, and it doesn't seem like any driver can really separate themselves from the other at the moment either. Eternal Deity is very close to Bobby here. Let's get to some action. It looks like those three at the front just kind of maintaining their gaps at the moment, so we'll keep an eye on their intervals, but we'll try to focus on some of the other action currently. GP Colin is also very close to Ryan as well. We'll keep an eye on that as they approach the DRS zone here. Terminal Deity very close to Bobby here. Could potentially be looking at an overtake here into the corner. Gets on the brakes very late. Is he going to go deep here? He does go deep, but does he get enough traction? He does not. Bobby maintains that place. Terminal Deity cost himself. Running deep and couldn't get a good exit. Aerostrike is now threatening after that mistake by Terminal. And Adri looking for a sniff as well. Oh, the Doth in the background in the Racing Point getting a little wide on the exit. Terminal Deity very deep again. Looking to go around the outside here to finish this overtake. Oh, and they make contact. Bobby and Terminal, they touch. I think that's on Bobby, though. He moved towards Terminal Deity there. Terminal Deity already basically on the outside of the track. Barton has DNF'd. He has crashed down the main straight. Barton has lost the car. Let's see if we can get a shot of that. We've got Zag approaching. Yeah, it looks like Barton... No, Barton has gone into the pits and DNF'd. My apologies. Just frustrated driving that Williams car tonight. Couldn't be bothered to keep going, I guess. Terminal Deity... he is now behind Aerostrike. Bobby has lost out to both cars, including Adri. Actually, Adri has made his way through as well. But Aerostrike, 9.3 seconds off of the front three. Those front three still all within a second of each other. As I mentioned before, just really maintaining a gap battle there. Nobody really separating themselves from the other. Terminal closing on Aero here. Is he going to have a shot? He might. Down into the corner. He's got the inside line. he gets a little bit across the curb there, but I think that's going to be okay, leaving space. They are wheel to wheel into the final turn here. What is going to happen? We've got the Renault taking the place. He maintains the defensive line, and now Adri is all over the back of Terminal 80 here. So we've got 4 cars scrapping as we approach turn 1. It is lap 12 here in China. Bad angle there from the cameraman, but all 4 cars side by side with each other here through the turn 1 complex. Great action here. And it looks like Adri has come out the victor. He is in 4th. Arrow slides into 5th. Terminal 80 looking to maintain that position over Bobby Teva in the Red Bull currently. Also runs deep once more. That's going to give Bobby a chance. Bobby has a pretty bad exit there, though, and it looks like Terminal is going to be okay. Terminal not on the optimal line currently, but he looks like he's found it now. Oh no, he's gone deep again. Oh, Bobby on the curbing almost loses the car here. These drivers on the medium tires starting to struggle a little bit with traction, it seems, but probably have quite a ways to go still. Arrow strike all over the back. A Terminal cuts the corner a little bit there, gets on the grass, and he is running out of traction here. It looks like Bobby already going to be by him. Is Bobby getting DRS here? No. Is Terminal going to get it? Terminal gets DRS. That's really unfortunate for Bobby. Can he use the slipstream and maybe outbrake into the corner? Well, Bobby gets DRS as well. And the cars ahead side by side. Adri and Arrow side by side. And it looks like Bobby has cut the corner here. Terminal has maintained the position. I don't know if Bobby just yielded that as he maybe realized he cut the corner. Not too sure. Arrow really hounding Adri here, looking for a way through. If you're just tuning in, we are running realistic performance. We've got our fast guys in the slow cars and vice versa. The slow guys are in the quick cars. So we've got some really good action mixed up throughout the pack here. We've got Ryan now pressuring GP Colin as well. So GP under threat here as we start lap 13. Still a long way to go in this Chinese Grand Prix. We've got a few drivers out on the hards looking to go very long into this race. Arrow in the best spot right now of the hard drivers, sitting in 5th, actually fighting with a few other cars there for 4th. But Arrow definitely going to be going long into this Grand Prix. So GP is starting to build that gap over Ryan a little bit. Puff is all over the back of Harry here. Let's see if Puff can find a way through. There they are. So Puff driving the Williams here tonight, wringing the neck of that car, trying to get everything he can out of it. He's down in 14th, fighting for positions, trying to get back to those points. His teammate for the evening, Barton, is out of the race. Oh, something's gone on at the front here. Gilzo has overtaken Coxey. Or sorry, Coxey I think was actually looking to make an overtake, but Gilzo has defended it because Gilzo was in the lead, I think. Yes. I've been ignoring the front 3 for a while. They haven't been doing too much switching around, but they are starting to fight a little bit now, so keep an eye on this action. Looks like we got a little bit of lag here. It just doesn't look really smooth at the moment. Coxey trying to hang on to Gilzo here. Doth pits, getting off those softs finally, 13 laps in. See what tire he goes on. Probably can go to the hards and go to the end. Doth on the mediums, so maybe thinking about pitting again towards the end of the race. Puppet Master is closing back in on the front 2, so we've had quite a scrap here for the lead of the race for quite some time now. None of these drivers really getting away from one another. We've moved away from it for a bit to watch some other action, but they're still scrapping up here. Looks like there's a few close gaps to monitor throughout the field as well. Terminal very close to Arrow, and Burns very close to Bones as well. Harry Hotspur has retired, so he's gone into the pits and parked it as well. I believe he's on the pad this week. He's usually a wheel driver, and he's had to use the pad lately, so probably just struggling a little bit with the car at the moment. So we got 2 guys out so far. It's lap 14. Just about to start lap 15 here. Gilzo, the leader at the moment. Puppet Master in second, and Coxie pressuring him in third. Coxie with that DRS down the straight, not close enough. So he's probably going to have to wait to the end of the lap again to get a really good opportunity here. Bobby is alongside Terminal Deity here, going for the overtake, even without the... Oh no, they both had DRS? I'm not too sure there. Looked like the Red Wings, or Red Bull wing was closed there. They're still side by side here. Neither driver really gaining the advantage. They're looking to get through. And down the inside is Terminal now. They're still fighting, these two. They've been duking it out for quite some time in this race so far. Terminal around the outside, late on the brakes, looking for that traction. They're still wheel-to-wheel here as they approach the S's. Let's see if either driver yields. Looks like Bobby has. Looks like Coxie is all over the back of Puppet Master as well. Let's get to that scrap with Coxie and Puppet Master. He's going to have DRS here. Is it going to be enough? He's close, but I don't know if it's enough yet. May have a better run down the pit straight to actually finish this move. And he goes very deep there. Maybe just looking for an alternative line, but doesn't seem to have worked for him. He's lost a few tenths already. Bobby and Terminal still scrapping behind as well. It's like Bobby currently with the edge. Really good scrap between these drivers here today. Just what we wanted to see. Zenith is all over the back of Ryan here as well. Zenith on much fresher tires. The softer tires as well, so probably will make quick work of Ryan here. He might even have a shot down this quick little straight. Zenith gonna think about it. Don't know. Ryan a little wide, but no, Ryan able to defend it there. Let's get back to Terminal. He's all over the back of Bobby once more. Oh, and he has to yield there. Got a little too close in a high-speed corner. I had to back out of it. Again, Terminal very close. Zenith also very close. Coxie ahead, also very close. Oh, big moment for the Red Bull there. It looks like Bobby had a bit of a moment. Terminal also not getting a great exit, though. So it looks like he's going to be safe. Coxie down the inside here. He's going to get that move done on Puppet Master. They're wheel-to-wheel. Coxie takes a good line through the corner. He's got a better exit here. I think he's going to have this move secured. Puppet Master still very close, but is he going to be close enough to fight this back? Coxie a little on the grass there. Coxie ultimately gets a better exit, but the Renault with that DRS is closing. Coxie moves to the inside to defend, and it looks like he's got it. I think he's still ahead. For the time being, Coxie has fought off Puppet Master. Now he sets his sights on Gilzo ahead. Coxie going to keep that place for the moment. Terminal Deity very close to Bobby once again. These two really not letting each other breathe. Terminal very late on the brakes, but goes deep, and that's going to cost him on the exit. Bobby with a much better exit here. He's going to gain a bit of an advantage. Check in with Ryan and Zenith. Ryan still hanging on to Zenith despite being overtaken. Good effort from Ryan, and the hards still running long into this race. Arrow also on the hards. He is in fifth. He's now closing on Adri on those mediums. So let's watch this battle for a lap or two and see if Arrow can find a way through. I would imagine the medium runner's probably looking at a pit window in the next 3 to 5 laps, more than likely. don't think it's quite time yet, but it's got to be getting there. Adri with a massive lock up there. That's going to cost him a lot of time. Arrow probably just taking care of these hards behind, and he's just slowly reeling Adri in. Adri runs very deep there as well. Now Arrow with the DRS. Adri definitely gained an advantage there by running wide. I'm not sure he was given a warning or anything for it, but you can see he gave himself a bit of an advantage down the straight. Terminal now around the outside on Bobby, and he goes very deep. He's onto the grass, and that's going to cost him heavily. It's a very bad place to get onto the grass, although he isn't really that far behind Bobby. Despite running very deep and getting on the grass, he's still right there. Terminal and Bobby having an epic scrap here today. Basically the entirety of the race they've been at each other. And they've been keeping it clean too. It's really good to see. Arrow Strike still knocking at the door here. And Puppet Master back within DRS range of Coxie here. And he's just drifting out of DRS. Adri with another big lock up there. So he's definitely starting to struggle on those mediums a little bit. And the more he locks up, the worse those tires are going to get. But Arrow just keeping it smooth behind. I think this is as close as he's been. I think this is going to be a move done for Arrow here. He's already closing rapidly, and he hasn't even opened the DRS yet. Here it comes. Adri under pressure here, and the Renault down the inside of Arrow. Adri under braking, tries to defend it, but he ultimately loses the place, and he just nudges the back of Arrow there through the apex. Probably gets away with that, but I think Arrow, well, Adri with DRS now is looking to fight it back, so Arrow not really safe yet. He's going to have to make a really good defensive line here if he wants to keep this position through this lap. Adri around the outside doesn't get too deep. He actually finds pretty good traction there. Sweeps back across and almost clips Arrow, but Arrow yielded just to make sure. So he's lost out to Adri once more, Arrow. He's going to have to try this once more. See if he can find a way through again. As I mentioned before, Puppet Master's still within DRS range of Coxie here. Keep an eye on that. As that gap comes down, we'll jump to it. But for the moment, this is the closest battle on track. Adri and Arrow duking it out here on a little bit of a different strategy. Adri probably towards the end of his tire life, while Arrow probably can go quite a bit longer still. See the pace advantage starting to lean towards Arrow at the moment. No DRS here, so doesn't get close enough. But he will have DRS down this back straight. And Adri likely going to be struggling after really defending his heart out here. But he does still have quite the reserve of battery at the moment too, so Arrow not really grinding Adri down like he hopes. But can he make this one stick? He's down the inside very late here. Adri looking to defend it, does not. I think Adri, around the outside. I think Arrow pushed him a little wide there to try to make sure he got the move finished off. Not really pushed, but sort of forced to the edge. All fair game, though. And we have Gilzo in the pits early. Gilzo to the hards. He's going to the end. Coxie and Puppet Master still scrapping on track. Terminal Deity is ahead of now GP Colin. Bobby has pit as well. So Terminal released. No more scrapping for him. Arrow Strike is ahead of Adri now. Just got that done while I was paying attention to the pits. Adri trying to hang on. I think those mediums are pretty much at the end of their life, though. Puppet Master still hanging on to Coxie, but not closing. Puppet Master gets a pretty poor exit there, and Coxie going to have the advantage here. Although Puppet Master sticks just within that DRS range. Well, Coxie going quite slow up ahead. Puppet Master closing rapidly here. He might actually have a shot down the pit straight here. What is going on with Coxie? Looks like he has turned the battery off completely or something. I'm not entirely sure there, but he's allowed Puppet Master to close in very quickly here. And maybe Coxie just starting to struggle with tire grip a bit. Got a bad exit. Looks like he's got another poor exit because Puppet Master is closing quickly once more. Doesn't even have it completely turned up either. Zenith very close to GP here. Can he get it done down the pit straight? Zenith gets a much better exit. He's got that DRS. He closes quickly. Sweeps to the outside, and he's got it done before they approach turn 1. So good move from Zenith there to get through. Get to GP. And now Gilzo behind actually going to be closing now too. And Adri just looking for a way through on Arrow still, but can't really fight it back at the moment. Arrow probably has a bit of an advantage with tire grip at the moment. Those hards likely in better shape than the mediums 20 laps in. Puppet Master, he's just falling out of that DRS range now in the critical moment as they approach the detection zone. Can Coxie keep him out? I think he might have just tucked in it. Maybe. No, he's lost it. He's lost the DRS. So Coxie has broken the DRS for Puppet Master after their epic duel here. Puppet Master now finally losing out a bit of time, and see if Coxie can cement this lead. Can he grow the gap over the next couple laps before they dive into the pits? Maybe Puppet Master considers the undercut here as well. Could definitely get out and get onto fresh tires. Gotta think Gilzo, as he passes GP Colin here, probably gaining time on those two out front. He's definitely going to pull off a successful undercut there. The longer those two stay out, the more time Gilzo likely going to gain on them. He's only got a few cars ahead to make his way by, and they're all on older tires. They likely won't struggle to do so. So the guys out front need to consider pitting in the next couple laps, I think. Andrew's still pressuring Arrow. So a lot of good scraps here today. We've had a few drivers just really duking it out with one another for quite some time. Bobby's onto the softs, so I think Bobby's going to have to stop again for sure. Probably to another set of softs to end the race. Goes about 12 on those. No, I think I'll need mediums even. He might. Maybe go 15-15, I don't know. I'm not too sure why you'd go on the softs in this stint. I would think mediums and just see where you end up kind of thing. Or even put the hards on, try to go to the end. But who knows? I mean, there's still a long way to go here. We're not even halfway through. And starting to see the strategies play out here. It looks like Zenith has made his way through on Terminal Deity. Terminal Deity really under pressure here with Gilzo and GP Colin behind. So Terminal Deity running long on the mediums here, and he's under threat now from the guys that have pit. Gilzo needs to find a way through here. That would really help his scrap with the guys out front. Coxie and Puppet Master stay out. Gilzo sends it late down the inside on the brakes. Sweeps across. Oh, and he makes contact with the Ferrari. I think he's clipped the front wing of Terminal Deity there. It looks like the back end of Gilzo clipped the front wing of Terminal Deity. Does he have damage? Let's try to get a look here. He does. I think he lost his end plate. No, he doesn't. It doesn't look like he has damage. He might have very minor damage that we can't tell. But I think Gilzo maybe just got away with that one. Adri still there behind Arrow, not losing any time. Might work out for him, really. I mean, he's probably struggling a bit on those mediums, but he can maintain that DRS gap and just kind of hover there and keep getting towed along by Arrow. It might work out. To think Puppet Master and Coxie gotta be thinking about pitting by now. Gilzo not in total clear air yet, but if he gets by Zenith, he pretty much will be. And then they'll be in trouble. So they really need to consider pitting in the next lap or two, I think, those two. They want to try to cover Gilzo off, but they might be a little too distracted with each other at the moment to be thinking about Gilzo. Aerostrike on 22-lap-old hard, sitting third in the moment. And Andrew starting to finally drop out of DRS range here. So Aerostrike's sitting pretty at the moment. We'll see what he can do with that tire strategy. He can definitely extend for quite some time, I feel. The medium guy's still out on 22-lap-old hard tires, so hard guys probably can go to around lap 30 or so. put on those mediums to the end. I would think that's the strategy for Aero. Maybe even a little bit longer. Adri dives into the pits, getting off those mediums. Likely, I would imagine, going onto the hard tire. That would be the right decision here, I think, for Adri. Gilzo clearly passes him. So Gilzo still whittling the gap to Jinnit ahead down. Aero strike 13 seconds off of Coxie. So Coxie, the last of the front runners to pit. Adri has pit. And if you look at the gaps here, we've got Aero 13, Jinnit 3.5 off, so we're looking at about 16.5 seconds. Gilzo only 2 seconds off. Gilzo already is in Coxie's range here. He's got 4 laps installed on these hards, so Coxie could consider extending to give himself a much fresher compound, which might be the right decision at this point, given the fact that Gilzo already has cleared him. Now he's got Puppet Master in clear air as well, though Puppet Master is 6 seconds to the next car up the road. So Puppet Master is going to be in clear air on a brand new fresh set of hards. Coxie, that's his direct competition, he needs to pit here. Yeah, Coxie pits. I think he needs to pit because I think Puppet Master is going to get him here, just even on this one lap, because he's in clear air on a fresh set of hards. He'll have much more grip. So Aero Strike now going to take the lead of the race for the time being. Let's see if Gilzo is going to clear Coxie here. I think he's got him easily. He does. GP is going to get ahead of Coxie as well as Terminal Deity. So is Coxie going to be in clear air here? He is. And he's well ahead of Puppet Master. I'm not entirely sure what happened to Puppet Master there. Maybe he had to do a wing change or something along those lines, but he's absolutely flying and he's nowhere near Coxie here. So maybe did have damage there. Not entirely sure. Obviously he's lost some time in the pits regardless. I'm not entirely sure why. But he's a ways off Coxie now, and Coxie has lost about 7 seconds to Gilzo here. I think Gilzo is really the net leader of this race at the moment. He looks like he's sitting pretty for a victory here. Well, Jinnit, an interesting strategy, is 15-lap-old mediums, so he needs to put another set of mediums on to get to the end of the race. We'll probably be able to go about 10 more laps, I would say. And then probably go, well, maybe another 12 or 13 and then split the difference there with the mediums to the end. Sorry, it needs to go about 8 to 9 more laps. Terminal Deity should be pitting soon as well, I'd imagine. So, now, as we pass, well, we approach, shit, we're not even halfway. We approach the halfway point of the race. Starting to see some gaps form. Still a lot of very close battles. We're going to see a lot of gap battles over the next stint, I think. We've got Terminal Deity close here to the back of GP Colin. They are on the same length old tires, so GP Colin on hards and Terminal on mediums, so likely Terminal has to pit well before GP does, but they are racing one another here. Gilzo on the 6-lap-old hards is sitting in third at the moment with a little bit of a cushion on him. He is closing that gap to Jinnit slowly, though. He has taken a couple seconds out of him over the last few laps. Puppet Master did set the fastest lap there as well on the fresh hards. Just saw that at the bottom. There we go. So, Gilzo whittling that gap down and is closing slowly. Terminal looks like he's starting to lose a bit of time to GP. Coxie will eventually be catching Terminal. Now we get a yellow flag in Sector 2. That's Puff. He has lost the car. So Puff, really strong start to the race. Sort of just has disappeared there. Got lost in the wash after his pit stop. I pit onto the mediums, and seems like he's struggling for grip now on those tires as he's spun and is just kind of driving around alone for the moment. So, yeah, Puff, once he got into the midfield there around 12th, 13th, he was just fighting with cars trying to find his way through, and ended up terminal pits. But yeah, Puff ended up losing a lot of time and just kind of just drifted away from the competitive part of the field. So frustrating to see because he was right there at the beginning. Puppet Master down the inside here on Ryan. Is he going to get it done? No, Ryan defends for the time being. Puppet Master with much more traction though. Should have the move done into the next corner. Maybe not. Ryan could have this covered. And Puppet Master, oh! Ryan goes deep and Puppet Master gets alongside him. I think he's going to have the move. He does. So Ryan goes deep and Puppet Master overtakes him quite easily. So we're going to have to fight much for that one. Bobby on 7-lap-old softs fighting with Adri on 3-lap-old hards. I think Adri has just made his way through there. Got another yellow flag, and that is Puff retiring, so no shock that both Williams drivers have had enough of their cars and decided to park it. Yeah. Just a brutal car. Just no pace in it. Bobby is now within DRS range of Adri here, and Ryan is within the DRS range of Puppet Master as well. Adri looking to break that slipstream, makes his move, returns to the racing line. It looks like he's got this covered for now. Bobby is quite close though. Also got Zenith. It's closed up on Arrow now. So Arrow's hards, 27 laps old, are probably starting to fall off a bit. Also got Zygon on 26 lap old mediums as well. He's kind of just sitting in no man's land as well. Bobby here still looking for a way through. So Adri likely with a little bit more grip because he's got fresh hards, but Bobby has a much faster tire on and kind of just had a stalemate here. Neither driver can really separate themselves. Interesting to see how this pans out by the end of the race here, because we are just hitting the halfway point now. So see how some of these strategies pan out. We got guys like Zenith on 18-lap-old mediums. Like, where does he go? Does he go for another set of mediums? Does he extend? Go to softs? It really depends, I think, on what kind of traffic he's dealing with, how the other drivers around him are faring. Hard to say, really. These 100% races, though, they really do provide really, really good element of strategy. I find that a lot of the drivers, they do really focus on extending their stints and tire management, especially in these long races. I find you can make up a lot of time here in the 100% races just by running a smart strategy as well. Doth getting within that DRS range of Ryan, and now Zenith is all over the back of Arrow here, so let's get to the action here at the front, because Gilzo is not far off either. Zenith still looking for a way through. He's knocking at the door. He's close, but not close enough. Oh, is that a car going off in the background? It was. Yellow flag at sector 3. Is that Mario? I think it might be. It was, yeah. So Zenith Closing, not close enough. Is Coxey close enough to get by GP Colin here? I think he needs to, really. Can't spend another lap behind a guy on 28 lap old hards. And Coxey does well, parks that car on the line and closes the door on the McLaren. So Coxey definitively making that move, and Puppet Master is still stuck behind Johannes. That is not good news for Puppet Master. They are about 8.5 seconds off of Coxey right now, and Puppet Master still hasn't found a way through. So he's really lost touch with Coxey at the moment. Coxey has edged him out here. So Coxey potentially looking at a victory here. He's going to have a bit of a pace advantage towards the end with the fresher tires on the hards over Gilzo, but can he close on Gilzo? The best thing for Coxey right now would be that Zenith stays out for quite some time and slows Gilzo down. And then Coxey has a chance to win his second race in a row here in the 100% race distance series. This was something we started out with a couple weeks ago, the Australian Grand Prix, because of the last-minute cancellation in real life of the Australian Grand Prix. We decided we would put on a full Grand Prix for everybody, just mostly for the league. It wasn't really meant to be anything big, but we posted it to Reddit, and it actually blew up, and we got a shitload of views, like 2.3 thousand views we got on that Australia Grand Prix, and it was a hell of a race. So a really good display of the talent we have in the league here. If you're new here, if you're just joining us, we are running Realistic Performance. We've put our best drivers in the slowest cars, and we do have a lot of fantastic drivers in this league. So we've got a mixture of all three tiers here today. We've got drivers from Tier 1, Tier 2, and the EU tier, all duking it out here in the Chinese Grand Prix. But yeah, so the start of the season was supposed to be Australia, and then the following weekend was going to be Bahrain. So last weekend we put on the Bahrain Grand Prix as well. So there is a full qualifying and 100% race distance Bahrain Grand Prix from last week you can check out. And then the Chinese Grand Prix we're running currently at the moment. So yeah, we were thinking at first maybe just running this as a replacement for the canceled races as the season goes, but I think a lot of guys are really enjoying it. As you see, we've had a good turnout every single week. We've got 20 guys out from all three tiers. It's a good opportunity for all these guys to race each other, as they don't usually get to do that during the league races. So, kind of a fun little bit experiment. We try to grade the drivers the best we can and put them in the fastest, the slowest cars. So the quicker guys, slow cars, and vice versa. You know, we try our best to grade them based on their pace and their tier and compared to others and whatnot. So I think we've done pretty well here, because you can see we've got a few drivers still duking it out here. There's been action throughout the entirety of the race so far. There hasn't really been any moments where there's no battles to watch. So it's something that we're happy to see, and yeah, we'll probably keep it going for the next few weeks at least. Just kind of have these 100% Grand Prix. I think we'll just kind of follow the 2019 calendar at the moment, because obviously the 2020 calendar a little bit different. We're obviously missing some of the circuits that they will be running in 2020, so we can't really replace all the GPs properly yet. But for now, we'll just stick with the 2019 calendar. We'll keep running this week to week. I think it's pretty fun. I suppose we could tally results as well, but we do change the cars every week. Like, depends who signs up, right? So sometimes the quick guys don't show up, and we end up with, like, you know, some of the guys that are in, like, Zenith, for example, is in an Alpha tonight. Like, he might end up in a Williams one week, depending on who signs up. So I guess we could keep track with just drivers, just kind of for the guys to see how they've performed, and they know that they're in a pace-appropriate car week to week, so it's not a terribly inaccurate reflection of their skill. Probably is worth keeping track. Maybe we will. And maybe we can post that for people on our socials or something like that once we get something tabulated. Although RC already has enough work on his plate with the standings as it is, maybe we see something a little more simple, or maybe someone else would step up and offer to help out with it. Just it's not a super serious thing, it's just for fun anyway, so it doesn't need to be terribly professional. Arrow with DRS here, and Gilzo as well. Gilzo looking for a way through, but Arrow with that DRS is going to have a good defense on him here. Gilzo makes a late move down the inside, and he sends it. He runs very deep, sweeping across to finish that move off, and I think he's got it done cleanly there. Arrow has to yield. Wasn't left much space, to be fair, but he ended up having to yield regardless. I think Gilzo made sure that overtake was definitive. He didn't leave it up in the air there. So Gilzo does what he needs to. He gets through. Nope, Adria's retired. Just noticed that. And he says, I'm not going to read it. He's probably just pissed off at the moment. But, yeah, Ryan has gone into the pits. He's on those 32-lap old hards. GP on 32-lap old hards and Arrow as well. So those guys probably, yeah, going to the mediums to the end. They're going to have a nice, fresh set of mediums to carry themselves to the end of the Grand Prix. Arrow Strike still hanging on to Gilzo despite the much older tires here. He's just starting to drift out of that DRS range now, so... does he need to pit yet? Not really, but might want to consider it, given that some of his opponents behind have pit now. Let's see what he does here at the end of the lap. Gilzo is within DRS range of Zenith, but he doesn't get the DRS here. He's close, but not close enough. Zenith likely going to have to stop again. I can't imagine he's taking those medium tires 46 laps, so likely he's pitting once more. When is he going to do it? Probably, I'd imagine, in about 7 to 8 laps he'll pit and get on the softs. Unless he's going to go for another set of mediums, in which case he should probably pit about now. And he might. Probably over the next few laps we'll find out. Gilzo is closing, and Arrow is still kind of tagging along here. But besides that, we now have a fair amount of sizable gaps through the field. So after the top 3 here, we've got Coxie 2.2 off, GP's 3.5 off of him, Puppet Master 4.4 off of GP, Doff 8.6 off Puppet Master, and yeah, it kind of continues that trend. All sizable gaps through the rest of the field. We have 15 cars still running here on lap 34. We lost a few drivers to frustration, some to accidents that they just didn't recover from. And yeah, really this is pretty much the best action we've got here. Luckily it is for the top 3, so that's good to see, but both Arrow and Zenith definitely need to stop, so Gilzo kind of clear and safe. Actually, he's not, because Coxie's coming. Coxie is not that far off this group, and he's got 5-lap fresher tires. So Gilzo and Coxie look like they're going to be duking it out for the victory here in China today. Well, GP needs to pit, and Puppet Master will probably slot into the final podium position. Can he do enough to close the gap to the front 2 and provide a fight to the end of the race here? Deity, I think, is too far off to really be threatening. Johannes and Bobby as well. So we'll monitor the gaps between the other drivers towards the end of the race and see if anybody gets close enough to fight it out here. But Zenith finally pits, so Gilzo resumes the lead of the race. Well, Arrow is looking to extend still, maybe looking to go to the softs to the end of the Grand Prix. Probably what he's trying to do. At the moment, I think Arrow would come out just behind Doth, like Zenith has, probably ahead of Terminal, so if Arrow can kind of maintain his pace for the next few laps, he could extend and get onto the softs. Coxie now closing as well, so Gilzo has about a 2.8 second lead over Coxie at the moment. Certainly not going to be safe, given that they're driving with the same engine, but Coxie driving a much better chassis. So we will see how that pans out between those two drivers. Puppet Master really not closing on GP Colin. Puppet Master on the hard tire, 11 laps old. GP calling on 34 lap old hards and is still sort of floating around that 4-second gap, though it looks like Puppet Master now just starting to finally consistently chop tenths out of that gap. He's closed about 5 tenths over the last 10 seconds or so. And he continues to close. Aero pits, so he is out of the way. GP also pits, so those guys, did they do enough to go to the softs? I don't know. I think that's got to be the mediums. Yeah, it's mediums for Aero. What's GP going to put on? GP goes for the mediums as well. I think that is the right decision. Jinnit ahead of Aero and GP, so Jinnit leapfrogs those guys with that undercut. He is well ahead of Aero. Terminal Deity is right in the mix there with the 9-lap-old hards now, so he slots in between GP and Aero. So now Doth, definitely going to need to pit again as well, but he is probably okay to extend to the softs. Gilzo is out in front. He has a 2-second lead over Coxie at the moment. So let's watch this scrap. Doth and Jinnit side by side here. Jinnit. Oh, they're still side by side. I thought Jinnit had made his way through, but he has not. Doth looking to defend that. Jinnit down the inside now. Oh, and they almost make contact, but Doth just avoids it and has much better traction, but runs wide here. So Jinnit, I think, has that move done. Doth will get the DRS, though, so that will help him with Aero behind. Aero is coming in close, but Doth with that DRS will... Oh, Doth has a big bobble there. Saw his car snap, and Burns has retired. So Burns gone into the pits to retire as well. So down to 14 runners in the Chinese Grand Prix here. Doth with Aero closing. He gets the DRS, so he gets a little bit of a slipstream there, but has his battery turned off. Trying to harvest here. Coxie slowly whittling the gap to Gilzo down. He's got it floating around that 2-second mark still. It seems to be hanging on for the time being. Now, we will see the pace advantage probably pan out a little bit more in the next 10 laps or so, where Gilzo's tires will be 27 laps old and Coxie's will be just about 22. So I think at that point, that's where Coxie will really start to close. But he is already under 2 seconds here. Aerostrike is all over the back of Doth here with those fresh mediums. He is looking for a way through here. Doth runs a bit deep. Aero kind of follows him out. That Aero just needs to get a good exit here, and with that traction advantage in the DRS, he should provide Doth no problem here. Doth really not going to fight this too hard either, because he's probably looking to extend to the sauce, and it's not really going to help his race much if he fights with somebody he's not going to catch by the end. Yeah, Doth just kind of parks it on the line, and Aero makes his way through, no problemo, and Aero across in front into the braking zone. Doth with a minor lock up there. And Doth going to look for a nice little toe down the pit street here. It'll help him out a little bit. You can really see the pace difference here. Aero just scampering off into the distance already. Tire advantage is massive. Johannes is closing on the back of Deity here. Within DRS range, see if he can find a way through. He's on the softer compound, and they are fresher tires, so I think Johannes definitely going to the end of the race here. And I would say Ryan, possibly Bobby and Zyg as well. Doth is probably the last person that needs to make a pit stop here tonight. I think everybody else is going to the end of the race. Deity runs deep. Johannes doesn't close as quickly as you'd expect, but obviously pace difference between that Ferrari and Alpha massive. Crucio with the fastest lap, 35.9 on the medium tire. He's down at 14th on fresh mediums at the moment. Here comes Johannes with the DRS. He is closing. Is he going to get there? I don't think he's got enough here. He's thinking about it, but backs out of it. He's going to tuck himself in nicely to try to set up a run down the pit straight. He's already almost alongside Terminal 80 here. Goes around the outside. Is he going to have DRS here? He does, yeah. So Johannes gets the DRS and has already got the move done. So he overtakes Terminal 80, and he's scampering off into the distance as well. Zyg here, all over the back of Bag of Bones. He's got the DRS. He is within a tenth. He is very, very close here. And he should make quick work of the racing point on the old hards. He does, under braking. Straight lines it a little bit, but gets a much better exit. And he'll be able to cover this off down the pit straight more than likely. Just needs a smooth exit here. Bag of Bones is close. So Zyg not really safe quite yet. Bag of Bones is threatening, but Zyg has much better traction. If he just keeps it stuck around the outside, he can sweep across and cover this off. I think he's got it. You know, Zyg's okay here. He's got that covered. Yep, much better traction, and Zyg completes the overtake. Should be moving towards safety now. See if Zyg can... I don't think Zyg's close enough to really challenge for points. He's 19 seconds off 11th place, so... Ryan perhaps could close to 10th, but I can't see any of the other drivers getting there. So, the challenge for Coxie is on. He's got a second and a half to make up on Gilzo, and he's got 17 laps to do it. He's got Terminal 80 looking to hang on to the back of Johannes still, but he's now further away than Coxie is to Gilzo, so I think this is going to be the scrap to watch for the next little while. Bag of Bones is actually closing on the side, and again it looks like he's just closing into DRS range. He's in that DRS range. Where on the track are they? They're going down the main straight, so let's check in with Bones. I don't think he's going to be close enough here now. Get back to Coxie. Coxie has the DRS, so it's on now. Gilzo's going to have to fight tooth and nail to keep Coxie behind. He's already within the DRS range. As long as Coxie keeps driving smoothly, he'll be able to stick there and fight. Late downshift to try and keep it on the track, and it looks like it paid off. Because Coxie stayed within the DRS range, but did lose a bit of time still. So the DRS once more. Now he can use this DRS to close into turn 1 and then try to stick with Gilzo through the lap and take a crack down the long back straight. Bones and Zyg still very close. Bones still hovering around DRS range as they approach the final sector. Let's see if he can get back in it. Don't think so. I think Bones out of DRS range here as they approach the long back straight. Yeah. So it looks like Zyg finally breaking the slipstream. And he should be able to get away from Bones here. Nice shot from the chopper there. Coxie following Gilzo for the lead of the Grand Prix. His tires are 5 laps fresher. He had a nice move there, closed up a lot of time. And he is quite close here as they approach the back straight. Gilzo going to be under a lot of pressure as they approach the corner here. Yeah, Coxie puts in an overtake. He's got that DRS open. Let's see. He's closing and closing as they approach the brake markers, though he's not close enough. He has to back out of this. Is he going to have a shot down the pit straight? Will he take a shot down the pit straight? will he just try to stick close and take another run down the long straight? Coxie has a lot of time in his back pocket to work with here. He's a huge gap to Puppet Master behind. Doesn't need to force the issue, doesn't need to do anything desperate or dramatic. He can get this overtake done in due time. They're running quite similar at the moment, so Coxie just needs to be patient here, and I think he can win this race again. Back-to-back weeks, and then next week he'll be in a different car. That's his reward. 2 in a row? I don't think you're getting in the Red Bull again. But he's not quite there yet. He still has to get by Gilzone. He still has to finish the race in the lead. So there's no guarantees here, but looking pretty good at the moment. Gilzone touches the grass a little bit there. Again, he does. So that's going to give Coxie a chance to close here. As they approach the DRS detection zone, he is under half a second behind Gilzo. This is it. Coxie is very close here. He's got a really good exit out of this corner as well. All over the back of Gilzo here. He's got that DRS. He's got that battery and overtake. Let's see. Does he have enough time to send it into the corner? He's alongside. He sends it down the inside. Gilzo has to tuck back in. It looks like Coxie has the move done for the moment. Gilzo just kind of looking for a little more grip somewhere else on the line, but he's not finding it. He gets the DRS down the pit straight here, but Coxie gets a really good exit here. I think Coxie's going to have this covered. Gilzo closing, but not close enough. Coxie has this covered off. Coxie into the lead of the race, and he looks like he's got it comfortably for the time being. Now, if he just doesn't make any mistakes, he can probably break this DRS by the end of the lap. No, Gilzo looking to hang on to that DRS. He is closing here. Gilzo looking for different lines here to try and find a little bit more grip. See if he can do anything to get the gap to Coxie lower down before the DRS detection point. And Coxie is starting to get away here. That Red Bull just so much better through the S's here. I think Coxie's broken it. We're looking at... Oh, no. Gilzo gets a much better exit down this little back straight here. So he is going to have the DRS, but he's a ways off from Coxie at the moment. Is he going to be able to fight it back? Oh, Gilzo closing rapidly here. Looks okay on the exit. Coxie's exit a little less than desirable, but I think Coxie's okay there. What we're going to do is check in with GP Colin in a moment. We'll watch this just to be sure, but yeah, Gilzo not going to get there. But can GP overtake Doth? I would think Doth has to pit on this lap, pretty much, if he wants to take the softs to the end. Pretty much has to be. We get a yellow flag there in the S's. That looks like the Haas car has lost it. Maybe Ryan. GP with the DRS. Oh, Gilzo has left the session. He's dropped. Oh, no. That's disastrous. GP down the inside. Late move on the brakes here, and he looks like he's got the place. Doth has to yield. Doth has to consider heading to the pits now. He's not going to make it to the end on these mediums, I don't think. He might try, but I don't think it's going to work. So, Doth putting himself in a bit of a dicey spot at the moment. Gilzo has left. He is currently ghosted. He's maintaining the gap to Coxie at the moment. Which is surprising to see. I think he's should be able to get back in. Puppet Master not really closing like you'd think. I guess the timing hasn't updated though, because yeah, Gilzo's fallen way off of Coxie. He's at least 3 seconds off now. And Puppet Master will be closing quickly as well. So Gilzo really gets back into the session. Can go close the gap to Coxie, but really needs to kind of worry about Puppet Master now, depending on how long it takes for him to get back in here. For the moment, he's okay, but see him as a little speck in the distance down the long pit straight here. Sorry, not the pit straight, the back straight. Gilzo back in? No, he's not at the moment. He's still ghosted. Should be in any moment. I don't think I can get invites out, so hopefully somebody else in the session still can. Any of the guys that have DNF'd, get Gilzo an invite, because I haven't seen him join back up yet. But, I mean, maybe he's had some sort of technical issue, like maybe his system is shut down, or internet has dropped. Like, it might not be as simple as him just rejoining. It could be, like, something's going to take a few moments. That's really shitty, though. He was having a good race there. Puppet Master really chopping the time down to the AI driver ahead. Bobby gets a penalty there, 3 seconds, multiple warnings. Doth looking to hang on to the back of GP. You gotta think Doth's going, he's gotta go to the end now, right? Like, okay, so Johannes might catch you, but Bobby's not catching you. So the worst Doth is gonna do here is 8th. Unless his tire bursts, which it could. See how they look. They don't look terrible at the moment. They look okay still. There's still a little bit of shine to them. Don't see any graining or blistering. Doth might be okay. Gilzo has rejoined, so Puppet Master is almost within 2 seconds of him, but Gilzo will be resuming control of that car shortly. And he's left the session again, so yeah, Gilzo, the technical difficulties costing him here. Zyg is all over the back of Ryan here. Similar life on the tires for these two, so this is a straight up battle. They're both a ways off the points here, though. Terminal Deity sitting in 10th with the final point at the moment. He's on the soft tire, looking to get that fastest lap, surely. Bobby, 9 seconds off of Johannes, who is only 1.8 off of Doth. Doth, likely, if he goes to the end here, is definitely going to lose the place to Johannes. Arguable whether or not Bobby can catch him, but depending on the pace of the mediums that Doth is running currently, we could see Doth maybe slip down to 9th even. But Puppet Master sadly has overtaken the ghost of Gilzo, so now Jinnit, if Gilzo can't get this issue sorted soon, Jinnit will be knocking at the door in no time. So, as I mentioned, Terminal Deity, fastest lap on the softs, 34.3 in the Ferrari. So he's going to pick up an extra point, quote unquote, for the fastest lap if he keeps that to the end. And I imagine he would. I can't see anybody really challenging for that. People are on older tires at the moment. So let's see if Gilzo can get back. Obviously it's a Gilzo issue because nobody else is having any server connection issues here. It's just Gilzo. So there's not much we can do about it. But Zyg still within DRS range of Ryan here. So a pretty good scrap for 11th here towards the end of the race, and we might see a scrap at the front, but I doubt it. Puppet Master needs to make up about 6.5 seconds on Coxie in about 9 laps. So unless he's got about 0.8 a lap in pace on Coxie, he's not going to get there. Johannes has caught the back of Doth now finally. Figured that was going to happen sooner or later, but Bobby is actually losing ground to Johannes at the moment, so Doth doesn't need to fight this. Doth can actually preserve his 8th place by just kind of letting Johannes go in a graceful manner, because Bobby is not closing to Johannes. Bobby surely will close to Doth, but is it going to be a second lap worth of pace from Bobby? It is unlikely, but I suppose it's possible. His tires are twice as fresh as Doth's, so he's probably going to be capable of closing that gap in that Red Bull, but I think if you're Doth at this point, you take your chances and you stay out and you just see if you can hang on to it. Looks like Crucio, Begabones has gone into the pits and Begabones retires, so Crucio takes 13th for the moment. Zyg still knocking at the door here, looking for a way through the Haas of Ryan, and still hasn't found it. So now Johannes tucked right on the gearbox of Doth, looking for a way through. Is he going to get it? He's got the DRS. He tucks in for that slipstream. Doth doesn't look like he's really going to fight this. He's got the battery turned down, it seems. And, yeah, Doth just kind of gracefully letting Johannes go here. And that's going to give Doth a little bit of slipstream down the pit straight. And as we mentioned, Bobby already taking a little bit of time out of Doth here. So the gap to Johannes was about 10.5. He's got 9.5 to Doth here. It's about 7, well, I guess about 8 laps to go here. And Bobby has 8.8 seconds to Doth ahead. Yeah, you know what? He might get there. He very well could get there. If he can just really put the hammer down and find nice rhythm. Doth's tires are pretty much cooked. I can't imagine Doth going to be doing much more than driving in survival mode right now. He's definitely not going to be putting down any exceptional times. Looks like he's already lost a couple seconds to Johannes here, and Bobby's taken a few tenths out of him already since I started paying attention to that interval. I'll keep an eye on it. It's 8.6 at the moment. Ryan is approaching Zyg here, and he sends it late down the inside. Oh, and they make contact! Ryan with a huge dive bomb late. He had pretty much lost the position, and he tried to send it late and ends up costing himself dearly. He's spun. He's gone deep here. He has no traction. Crucio has gone down the inside and now gotten ahead of Ryan. And Ryan just having a disastrous afternoon out there. It's not what he was hoping for. GP Colin is within DRS range of Arrow here, so the McLaren, definitely a much better car than the Renault, and GP is closing the gap. So he's looking to fight here. Puppet Master has the gap down to 5 seconds on Coxie. And Bobby still 8 seconds behind Doth. He's not doing enough. I think Doth's got that. Doth just needs to stay consistent, stay smart, don't overdrive, don't lose time, just keep going the way you're going, and I think he's got the gap to Bobby covered here. But our only real battle on the grid at the moment is GP attacking Arrow here. And this is a straight up scrap for 5th place here. Both drivers on 13-lap-old mediums, obviously well safe to go to the end. No danger of them needing another pit stop at all. So it's going to be a straight up duel between Arrow and GP, between the McLaren and the Renault, to wrap up the Grand Prix here. Puppet Master got that down to 4.8, so he's 4.8 seconds off of Coxie with about 7 laps to go. You know, I think Puppet Master is closing the gap at the rate he needs to actually have a shot at overtaking Coxie on the final lap. Coxie, if he has any life left in the tires or any battery to use up, might be a good time now to turn everything up and put in a couple hot laps to try and secure the gap you've got to Puppet Master, because he's almost got it down to 4 seconds now. He's taken almost a second a lap at a Coxie here. GP is right up the back of Arrow here. He's going to have a shot down the pit straight here, though he's not close enough. He's going to have to be patient and wait another lap, but I think GP's got the pace here to overtake Arrow and finish in 5th. He just needs to be smart here and make a good move when he makes that overtake. Although I will say, struggling with the battery reserves a little bit, Arrow definitely has the advantage on that front. So, GP, he needs to get through, probably, I mean, his best bet right now is to kind of hang back, charge the battery a bit, and then try to get through down the pit straight. And then he'll have the majority of the lap to try and build up the gap he needs to break the DRS of Arrow, because with his battery reserve so low, GP is going to struggle against Arrow. Even if he does make the overtake, he uses up his battery making the overtake. What's the sense? Because Arrow will just close back in and fly by him with DRS once more. So GP almost needs to maybe turn it up to medium or high here down this straight, and then throw it an overtake down the pit straight and see if he can get the move done. He's going to have DRS 2 runs here. This is his best opportunity, and the best way for him to maintain 5th is to overtake down the pit straight and build his gap through the 1st and 2nd sector. Arrow runs very deep here. This is going to give GP a huge advantage. It's time to turn up the wick, GP. Fire it up. Let's see if he can get this move done. He's going to have DRS once more down the main straight. He has to run a bit wide there to give Arrow some space, but he's all over the back of Arrow here. He's got the DRS. He's got that battery turned up. He doesn't have much left in the tank, but he can get the move done here. He might be able to finish it off. Oh, and they make contact. GP is spun. Arrow closed the door on GP, and he tagged the side pod of Arrow and went round. Oh, that is so unfortunate for GP. He was right there. He was knocking at the door. He was on for a 5th place finish. And now he's completely out of contention here. I don't know who that is on there. I think GP maintained his line fairly well, though. And I don't know that he could have really gone much tighter to the inside. I think Arrow kind of closed in on him. I mean, it's hard to say. Obviously, it happened so fast. But it didn't seem like Arrow swept across or anything. Nothing along those lines. But he maintained a very tight line, and GP had nowhere to go. So, obviously, he had a bit of understeer being on the extreme inside of that corner. Drifted into the side pod of Arrow. Arrow's car a lot more planted through that corner. And GP just went round like a pendulum. So, yeah, I'm not too sure that's anything more than a racing incident at that point. I think Arrow did well defending the line. He kept it a very tight line and forced GP to sit on the inside there and ended up costing him dearly. Interesting to note, though, Arrow is closing the gap to... Oh, Gilzo is still ghosted. My apologies. I forgot Gilzo just couldn't make it back in, obviously, and he's remained ghosted, so... Arrow on his way to overtake the ghost of Gilzo. Frustrating, but the new guy, Matt, also known as Puppet Master, had an excellent debut last week in the EU tier, and here he is now knocking at the door of a victory in the 100% Grand Prix here. They've got about 4.5 laps to go, and he's got 2.2 seconds to Coxie ahead. So, Puppet Master in a very, very good spot. A very big opportunity here to win this Grand Prix. That would be a very impressive showing for him. Coxie looking for back-to-back wins. He won last week in Bahrain. He's looking for a win here tonight in China. Let's see if he can hold off the charge of Puppet Master in the Renault. And, yeah, Bobby. Didn't think Bobby was going to get that gap close to Doth, but now he is within 2 seconds of Doth as well. So Doth's tires absolutely just cooked. They are completely falling off, and Bobby is closing very quickly here. So, Puppet Master has got it under 2 seconds now. The Ghost of Gilzo is overtaken by Arrow. Bobby closing on a Doth. Let's check in with Doth. Let's see how he's doing from the onboard. Those tires look okay. A lot of graining on the left side of the front left. Towards the outside of the tire, but overall it looks okay. Bobby is not within DRS range yet, so that gives Doth another lap of breathing room, but I have to say, more than likely, Doth is going to be under threat the next time they come down that long straight with DRS. Yeah, Doth's going to be in big trouble there. Bobby is very close. The Ghost of Gilzo still fighting with Arrow. I think Arrow's going to get away finally here. GP is now approaching the Ghost of Gilzo. GP is through as well, so GP does get into the 5th place, regardless, but here he's close. You know what? He's got that gap back under a second again. He was about 4 or 5 seconds off of Arrow here, and he's got it back under a second here, so I would be very impressed with GP if he can manage to catch back up and overtake Arrow after that incident where he was spun and lost about 4 or 5 seconds. If he gets back alongside Arrow here and he can overtake him, I'd be very impressed with GP's resilience there. As we mentioned, Puppet Master very close. He's now 1.4 off of Coxie as they enter the final lap. Or sorry, not the final lap. The final few laps. They are on lap 54 currently, and GP and Arrow are about to start lap 54. GP back within DRS range, so he's going to be able to take another crack at this. Impressive performance. A lot of these guys doing really well today. Yeah, Bobby's made it through clean on Doth there. I completely missed that, but Doth's just nowhere. His tires are absolutely shredded. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up with a puncture here. He's got to be right on the limit. GP still hanging on to Aero here. Puppet Master is almost within DRS of Coxie. We're going to have a very interesting finish here, and that's what I was just about to say was for a 100% distance race, we were on lap 54 out of 56, and we still have 3 different battles here, guys within a second of each other. So, for the 3rd week running, we've run a full qualifying 100% distance race, and they've all been very exciting so far. A lot of action and competition from start to end. Some nights more frustrating for others than some. But overall, I think everybody's having a pretty good time with this, and we're getting some really quality racing from the drivers out here too. The realistic performance really does help out with balancing out the field a little bit. So Johannes now overtaking Gilzo as well. He's basically just nowhere as a ghost there. GP with a late lunge down the inside. He needs to back out of it. Aero has it covered off. So now, like as I mentioned before, GP is close enough. He's got that battery turned right up, and he's right on the back of Aero. Oh, and he gets a very good exit here. This is going to be GP's best chance. If he can make the stick into turn 1, he might be able to do enough to build that gap and break that DRS train by the end. So GP down the inside gets the move done. He's clean through this time. He can leave that battery turned up and try to scamper off into the distance. Aerostrike has plenty to work with himself. So we're going to see a good scrap between these two, and we're going to see Puppet Master now within DRS range of Coxie for the final 2 laps of this race. Let's try to keep an eye on this scrap as well as the one behind between Aero and GP. Puppet Master very close to Coxie here. He's going to have DRS down the back straight, but he's not going to be close enough to take a look, I don't think. No, he won't be. Aero and GP are going to be very close down the straight, though, so we will jump to that battle as they approach the long DRS zone here. Puppet Master closing rapidly here with a DRS advantage. Coxie looking to have him covered off. Coxie with a little bit of a sloppy exit there, and Puppet Master is very close here. He might have a shot down the pit straight here with the DRS. Aerostrike looks like he has lost a little bit of time to GP. And he has. Aero looking for a move here, but he has to go around the outside. We have a yellow flag in Sector 1. Is that Coxie and Puppet Master? I think they touched, and Coxie's lost out here. It does look like he's nowhere near the Renault anymore. Yeah, Coxie way off of the Renault. I missed that incident. I'm not sure what happened there, but it did look like into turn 1, right before I jumped to this battle between Aero and GP, it looked like one of the cars had gotten loose and possibly made contact. I'm not sure whose fault that was, or if it was anyone's fault at all, really. Maybe it's just been a mistake, but Coxie has made a mistake or been contacted or something, and he's lost out a ton of time to Puppet Master now, and Puppet Master looks like he is on his way to victory here in China. Is the final lap. He has a massive lead over Coxie suddenly, and Aero, really this is our last battle out on track. Doth has also lost position to Terminal 80, so he's almost slid right out of the points by trying to extend those mediums. He's taken them 42 laps though. That is goddamn impressive to go 42 laps on medium tires here in China. I have to say that's a valiant drive from Doth. Obviously he's cost himself a ton of time, but impressive that he's even made them last this long. And to see his interval to Terminal 80 just absolutely falling off. He has no pace at all left. Aerostrike runs very deep here on the exit. He's still pretty close to GP though. He's got a huge advantage here with this DRS. This is Aero's last chance. Is he going to send it into the corner? He is. He goes around the outside. They're wheel to wheel. GP tries to defend it on the inside. He gets a much better exit. Oh, they're side by side. Into the final turn, they're going to be side by side. Who's going to take a chance here and who's going to go for it? Oh, they're wheel to wheel. GP goes wide on the exit. GP is a nose ahead. Oh, he finishes just behind Arrow, regardless though, with the penalties, actually drops behind Johannes here, but on the finish, on track, was just a nose ahead there. That was impressive. But yeah, GP just really sliding down the order here with the penalties. So, while the wheel-to-wheel action with Arrow was exciting, it meant really nothing because he obviously had about 18 or so seconds of penalties. The amount of time he's lost to the guys behind there. Wow. Obviously carrying a lot of penalties tonight, but made it for a very exciting finish regardless of what it actually meant. And then Doth with almost closed back in on Terminal 80 there with the penalties, but couldn't quite do it. Obviously, if his tires had lasted a little longer, if they had a little bit more life in them, he might have made it into 9th. Just needed half a second. But, yeah, that is the end of the Chinese Grand Prix. This was the full Chinese Grand Prix. We had a full qualifying session, Q1, Q2, and Q3. They were actually pretty exciting qualifying sessions as well. It was a lot of fun. And then the race portion, tons of action start to finish. There was really no... I mean, we had our suspicions about who would win this race, but ended up being very close, and there was definitely some exciting moments there. Wheel-to-wheel action, a lot of bumps, a couple spins, not sure whose fault, maybe just some hard racing, but yeah, an excellent afternoon of racing here in China with Zenith Online Racing. Great to see these guys put up a hell of a drive. GP with 20 seconds of penalties, yeah, I figured it was a lot the way he'd slid down the order there, but a lot of guys put on a hell of a show for us today, so let's review the order. Puppet Master wins, Coxie in 2nd, Jinnen in 3rd, Aerostrike in 4th, Johannes in 5th, Gilzo 6th, Bobby in 7th, GP in 8th, Terminal 80 in 9th, Doth in 10th, Crucio is 11th, Zyg is 12th, Ryan is 13th, Bagabones 14th, Burns 15th, Adri 16th, Mario's in 17th, Puff in 18th, Harry 19th, and Barton 20th. All the drivers from 14th down DNF'd. So only 13 cars finished this Grand Prix here in China. And I would imagine, yeah, I'd imagine at this point we're more than likely going to be running the Baku Grand Prix next week as well. So Zyg, yeah, run into that 3-stopper, soft, medium, medium, soft. Not the greatest strategy out there. Finished his 12th with that one. Maybe had some wing damage that cost him to pit an odd time. But, the 3-stop there from Bag of Bones as well. So, that will do it for the Chinese Grand Prix. If you've been here start to finish, thank you for sticking it out with us. If you tuned in late, I'm glad you caught some of the action. Go back and watch the full thing. It was a great afternoon of racing. If you're watching this on a replay, appreciate you checking out our content. You can hit the subscribe button and you'll get the notifications every time we go live. We race 3 times a week regularly with official league races, and then we put on a little event like this occasionally as well. We might keep this going for every Saturday for the next little bit, but yeah, Sunday evenings we race at 10 p.m. UK time. That is the EU tier. They have an official Grand Prix tomorrow. That is the British Grand Prix. The other 2 tiers were on break this week and will resume official racing Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern. So Tier 1 goes 8 p.m. Monday. We are in Bahrain. Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern. We are in Bahrain as well. And then next Sunday, EU tier will race the Bahrain Grand Prix. But as we mentioned, tomorrow they have the British Grand Prix. They're the only tier not on a break this week, as they are a few races behind us. We started the league a little late, so thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoy the racing we put on here for you. As I mentioned, we had drivers from all 3 tiers out on track tonight. Tier 1, Tier 2 of the North America tiers, and then we've got the EU tier that races Sunday. And drivers from all 3 tiers filled out the grid tonight for the 100% race, and they put on quite the spectacle for us here. So we will likely be back next weekend with the Baku Grand Prix. Appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for stopping by, and we hope to see you again. Take care.